small topic in assessment of personality. Major portion we have done already about reliability, validity. So there will be a definite question on reliability, types of reliability and types of validity. So please focus on. Then the next topic in assessment of intelligence is about what are the different types of assessments are there. Yes, what are the different ways through which we can assess intelligence of an individual. So, yeah, shall I continue? Anyhow, you people are recording this and sharing with others, so
Yes, madam.
no need to wait. Yes, I hope so. Because of that, only people are not joining. Anyhow, they have that confidence that they are going to get the information. Okay, so majorly in intelligence assessment, we go ahead with various methods. Yes, so in these methods we use different types of tests. So if we see the major classification of intelligent tests or intelligent assessment, it's like majorly it is verbal, non-verbal, and performance test. Please mute yourself. Adinar and Murthy garu, please mute yourself. Okay. So here,
Yes, madam. Yes, madam.
classification of intelligent assessment, if we see, oh, sorry, I did not unmute it. Sorry, I'm just go on talking about. From how long you people are not listening to me?
We thought the host unmuted everybody and we were waiting for you to talk.
Oh, you, I didn't see. I'm go on talking.
Like you started
Okay,
and it was mute.
okay. Shit. Yeah. So, okay, right from the beginning. So, classification of intelligence can take place like verbal, non-verbal, and performance test. Initially, Alfred Binet was the person who introduced the intelligent test. His tests were classified as verbal tests. So, when he developed or introduced this intelligent test, he introduced to identify the deviant intelligence like MR, majorly his intelligent test for mentally retarded children. Yes, so he he introduced the intelligent test to find out the level of MR, mentally retardation, at which level they are. Then, uh, along with the Binay, there was another person who was known as Terman. So these two people actually introduced the first intelligent test. So Galton actually was the person who actually worked a lot on this intelligence, but he's the father of intelligent test actually to say. Then but I am not going in detail of history of intelligent test, how all these people worked and came up with the actual intelligent tests or testing. All this information is provided in your manual. Please go ahead, give one reading so you will understand. It's just about history, nothing much like to explain about. Then majorly I'm going to explain about different types of intelligent tests, how they assess. So Binet, all the Alfred Binet tests were considered as verbal tests. So first we will differentiate what exactly this verbal, non-verbal and performance tests are. Verbal tests is like the questioning form will be used a language. So a question will be given, then people whoever can read, write and understand, only those people can deal with these verbal tests. Okay, only these people who are literate, who are able to read and write and understand the language. If the questionnaire is in a Chinese and Japanese language, though we are educated enough, we can understand that. It's highly impossible for us. Yes, we can't read and we can't write that information, so we can't understand also. Here the questions are in a particular way where a person or the client or the subject, whoever is taking the test, should be able to read and understand it. If the person able to understand, only he can answer for it. So all the questions, content of the test is in a based on the language, instructions as well as questions. So the person who is taking the test taker should able to understand it. He should know the language. So for that, on those people only we can administer these tests. These are the verbal tests, and whatever the classification it is, whether it's a verbal, non-verbal or performance test, whatever we are using for a psychology purpose, assessment of intelligence, all these are the standardized tests. Okay, all these are the standardized tests. So what is clarify or what, on what basis we can say a test is standardized, already we discussed in the previous class. Yes, what are the characteristics of standardized test? Am I audible?
Validity,
Ah,
objectivity, reliability,
yes,
norms, and
very good.
practicability, repeatability, or practicability.
Yes, yes, yes. So these are the 5 essential characteristics. Whatever the test consists or whatever the test has is known as standardized test. So all these 3 categories, whatever we are using to assess intelligence, can be considered as standardized tests. So whatever the test which has its reliability value, validity value, and which has a specific norms and follows the objectivity will be considered as standardized test. So verbal test, we just can't take whatever is available. We should check all these characteristics. Then we can go ahead with this standardized verbal test. Okay. Then all Binet tests can be considered as verbal tests. So Alfred Binet test. Then second category is about non-verbal tests. Non-verbal tests are known as, uh, can be classified as where instructions are given in a language where administrator, like the person who is, for example, in the practicals, you will administer on your subject. Yes. So you people are the experimenters. So experimenter can read and explain about the instructions. Yes. And remaining the content, whatever should be taken care by and test taker, all this content or questions will be in the form of signs and symbols. Yes, there will be some pictures will be given. It's mostly non-verbal test, not directly assessing intelligence, but they do assess the person's reasoning ability. Okay, directly it is not measuring their intelligence, but they will measure the intelligence through their reasoning ability. So people whoever any of you might have did this bank exams, so in that this aptitude test will be there, or aptitude test will be one way, and picture exam will be another way. These things also will be there. So option A to flat or parallelogram. These ability. What else can be? Mostly these consist of signs and symbols, how well you can interpret out of that signs and symbols. So these are known as non-verbal tests. So most of the times what happens when you are dealing with this intelligent test, some questions are really like very much cultural oriented. Yes, culture related, or whatever the westernized people believes or perceives, we may not perceive in the same way. Yes. So to avoid these cultural barriers or language barriers, we'll use this non-verbal tests. Okay. So for example, there are certain words which are objectable in Indian culture, is very much in use of in use in westernized countries. Yes, very freely they use, but here that is not very much acceptable. So this leads to some cultural differences. So to avoid this, mostly we can go ahead with signs and symbols. So more or less, these signs and symbols are very much equal in all the cultures, but we can't say all will have the same impact. For example, swastik is in Indian context, swastik for Hindus especially, it's a very uh, uh, what it is, religious symbol. Yes, but for others it's a product's quality or something they'll perceive it. So there are certain limitations for non-verbal test also, but still these non-verbal tests are considered as culture free tests. Yes. So here one thing I would like to tell, all the non-verbal tests can be culture tests, culture free tests, but not all culture free tests will be non-verbal tests. Okay, there is a small difference. So, no, sorry, it's a reverse. All culture free tests can be non-verbal tests, but we can't say that all non-verbal tests will be culture free tests. Culture free means without any cultural barriers. Yes. So non-verbal test will validate in that cultural, overcome these cultural barriers to some extent. But there is so much of limitations in verbal tests. They may not. So to avoid this cultural and language barriers, we can go ahead with this non-verbal test. So there are so many widely used non-verbal tests are there. For example, Cattle's Culture Fair tests, SPM, Standard Progressive Matrices. Do you heard about SPM?
No, ma'am.
No? Okay. So there are classifications in SPM. Actually, all these tests you will be familiarized when you start your uh, practical classes. Yes, we do teach all this SPM. You people directly hope so. This time there's no fourth wave, there's no restrictions for coming directly to colleges, and yes, hope so this time no online practicals. Since 2 years we are having online practicals and students are not exposed to apparatus whatever we are using and questionnaires. Actually, in psychology, if you go to lab, visit the lab and use this apparatus and questionnaires directly administer this, that's actually a fun, and that gives a practical exposure like how exactly this assessment process takes place in psychology. Yes, without that practical exposure, it's highly difficult to understand. Give me 1 minute, let me charge my lab. Am I audible? Okay. So, SPM is known as
Yes, ma'am.
Standard Progressive Matrices. So, why it's given progressive matrices means it follows the increasing difficulty. First question will be easy, second one will be more difficult, will be little difficult compared to first one, third one will be more difficult. So, it's like it follows the increasing difficulty level. So, there are three types of progressive matrices are there. One is colored progressive matrices, then uh, advanced progressive matrices. These colored progressive matrices can be used for children. Standard progressive matrices can be used for adult. So people whoever within the given time, whoever completes the SPM without any error are eligible for doing this advanced progressive matrices. Yes, directly we are not supposed to administer this advanced progressive matrices, but people whoever qualifies in SPM with the time limit and without any errors, 120 questions will be given in SPM. So whoever able to answer all these 120 questions correctly within the given time, they are eligible for AP, advanced progressive matrices. Yes, there are three: colored progressive, standard progressive, and advanced progressive. Then this is about non-verbal tests. There are many, but I'm not going in detail about all that. Yes. Then third category is about performance tests. So performance tests is like mostly these performance tests can be used for children and for the people who has some uh, intellectual disability. So to understand that also we can go ahead with this performance test. Here the name itself saying that performance. So verbal and non-verbal. Is these two are clear for you? Verbal and non-verbal?
Yes, madam.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, okay. So these two are the individual as well as group tests. So these two kind of tests we can administer on individual at a time or at the entire group at a time. We can administer on 10 people, 20 people or 40 people at a time. We can, because all these are the questionnaires. Whether it's a verbal test or non-verbal test, these are known as paper pencil tests or questionnaires. In psychology, whenever you are using a questionnaire, that is also known as paper pencil test. Okay, so in your practicals also you should carry all that stationery with you, pencils, erasers, all these things. Okay, whenever there is a paper pencil test, you should use only pencil while answering the questions. So third category is a performance test. Because it is a performance and here apparatus is used, so what happens, we need to, like, test taker need to manipulate the objects. Manipulate means he should use certain objects, blocks, or certain things. So we need to keenly observe how they are using it. That's the reason performance test we can't administer on the group at a time. It is only for individual. Okay, on one individual we can administer the test at a time. So there are so many types of performance tests, like Bhatia's battery test. So battery, here we are using the term battery, Bhatia's battery of performance test. So this, whenever we are using the term battery, means it consists of subtests, okay, which include other tests. So there are 5 subtests in Bhatia's battery. Okay, one is related to memory, one is picture arrangement, one is pass along, another one is course block. Yes, uh, and one more is about learning. So there are 5 types of subtests included in Bhatia's pattern. Once the test taker able to do all these 5 tests, then we can administer or assess his or her intelligence. Okay, so course block. Course block test actually is an individual test. Course block and pass along. These two are the, we can administer as an individual test or part of Bhatia's battery. Are you getting what I am trying to say? These two tests you can administer as an one individual intelligent test, or you can use these two tests as the subtest of Bhatia's battery. Okay. Through one
Okay, ma'am.
course block also you can assess one's intelligence. Through pass along also, only that pass along also you can assess intelligence. But when you are using Bhatia's battery, these two becomes subtests. So here what happens, in course block, there are different cubes will be there. So different cards are there. On that cards, a picture will be given, like a shape. So with the help of those blocks, like on that cubes, there are different colors will be there. Anyhow, you will be doing your practicals, direct exposure will be there. So you have to, just by seeing that card, the image on that card, you have to place these blocks, you have to arrange the blocks or cubes in such a way to frame that picture. Yes. So that is course block. Then pass along. In that pass along, there are cubes will be there, and that is will be placed in a tray. You are just moving the blocks and framing the design, whatever is placed on the card. Yes, all these are performance tests. So course block, uh, pass along, Bhatia's battery, and many other performance tests are there. Picture arrangements, and maze tracing. Yes, puzzle boxes. So there are various tests through which we can assess the intelligence of an individual. Mostly these are applicable for children who not able to read, write, not yet get that maturation to maturity level to read a question and understand and answer accordingly, or children below 5 years or 10 years who just don't understand the signs and symbols clearly. So for those children, we can use these pictures and these performance tests where they enjoy and do it. Yes. So these are the classification of intelligent tests. So this is a very simple draw a man test also comes under this uh, performance test. I think we discussed about this draw a man in the previous class, like how it gives. No, not with you people. Sorry, it's with IGNO people. Okay. So, draw a man test is nothing but children are asked to draw a human figure. So, how they are drawing based on that, like based on the details, whatever they are drawing, we can assess their intelligence. Yes. So, these are the various types of intelligent tests we use to assess intelligence. Give me 1 minute. Hello. बाबा बाबा क्लास में हूँ बाबा. हाँ. Okay. Yes. So I hope I'm clear from my end about intelligence, whatever the concepts we discussed. What is intelligence, nature of intelligence, then theories of intelligence, assessment. Clear for everyone? Okay. Then, yes. So, wherever we
Yes, ma'am.
left out in memory, I would like to continue the memory topic. Shall we move on?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure, ma'am.
No.